It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the world, we are Red Eye Radio. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here this morning. Man, it's just what a nutty week.
What a crazy week it's been.
We still have a lot to talk about here before the show ends, but we're on vacation next week, and we don't allow just anybody to fill in for us.
No,
do we?
you have to have some credibility.
You got to be an award-winning talk show host.
Exactly. We're not, but
no.
To fill in, you
yes.
must be.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to be recognized as much better than the host currently here.
Clearly.
Filling in for us next week, it was announced yesterday, Marconi Radio Award winner for the Large Market Personality of the Year, the great Dan Mandis at WTN in Nashville. Dan, congratulations.
Yeah.
Alan was telling me he was just talking to him a little while ago, and he's got to go to New York for the awards. La-di-da.
All right. Yeah.
Dan's one of the he's one of the beautiful people if he's going to New York.
Yeah.
No, Dan, congratulations. It's awesome. Just awesome.
It's awesome because Dan is awesome. And
he really is.
We, quite seriously, have felt very fortunate from day one to have Dan Mandis actually make himself available to do this. First of all, he runs the place there. And it at our affiliate in Nashville, he's the morning show host, and also, what, you're shaking your head?
No, he's a morning show host.
Yeah, okay, and the problem, and ultimately too, he's a great host. He does double duty while he's filling in with us.
Yeah, he does. That's the thing.
Triple duty.
Yeah.
Quadruple duty.
Yeah. He really does.
It's a guy that he works around the clock, by the way. He's probably up anyway.
Well, he was. You just talked to Alan a little while ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I see him on X all the time.
Yeah, I know. I'll sit there and be 1 in the morning.
At 1 o'clock in the morning, he's posting on X. It's like,
when do you sleep?
He's not. He doesn't. So all this hard work has paid off, and he absolutely earned that Marconi Award.
Yeah, congrats, Dan.
Yeah.
Just proud of you. Great job.
Yep.
Great job.
Also, one of our sister stations downtown, The Ticket, won 2024 Marconi Award for Major Market Station of the Year. So to the group down there, thank you for all your hard work and making the company look great.
Yeah, I was reading that.
But congratulations.
I was reading, rarely does a sports station actually win that.
Yeah, right. It's crazy.
That was, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Awesome. Congratulations, Dan, The Ticket, all the winners.
So here I am looking at the Liberal Patriot. We've mentioned this before, Roy Teixeira. He is a Democrat. It's called the Liberal Patriot. And Roy Teixeira was one of those that back when Biden was still running that said he's got to be more MAGA-like.
Yeah.
Then he's got to, they even talked about much tougher on the border. And it does seem like Kamala Harris took the advice of both Roy Teixeira, and it was Douglas Schoen, also the Democrat, who also said that in articles that we read back in, I think it was June, maybe May or June, is when it came out.
Right.
Where Roy Teixeira wrote this with Roger Pelkey Jr., Clean Energy Transitions Voter Problems.
Mm-hmm.
And he writes, the first sense is the future of clean energy transition is cloudy, that there's wide disagreements on it. But he said, what does the public think? All right, this is the whole thing. What does the public think? Number one, And all of the above approach to energy policy has by far the most voter support and shows remarkable stability and common support across voter groups. When presented, you ready for this? When presented with the choice among three options, a rapid green energy transition and all of the above energy policy and emphasizing fossil fuels, American voters across all demographics and partisanship strongly prefer all of the above approach to energy policy, including oil, gas, renewables, and nuclear. Less than a quarter support a rapid transition to renewable, which drops to under a fifth for working-class non-college voters. Even among Democrats, support for rapid transition is only a little over a third. All right? Mm-hmm. So that's the point. Now, here's a second point. Because when you talk about all those, the only ones that can survive in the competitive marketplace are oil, gas, and nuclear. The renewables have to be subsidized by the taxpayer.
Yeah, right.
The others do not. That isn't brought up in the discussion. Yeah, it's all of the above. Well, then you want to continue subsidizing green energy? The American voters, this is the next point. American voters are reluctant to pay even a small amount to support climate action, and this willingness drops quickly as the proposed small costs increase. So in number one, where they put, well, no, America want all of the above, which would be, again, oil, gas, nuclear, and renewables. Well, they say that, but they don't actually want renewables if they have to pay for it.
Right. No.
If they've got to use taxpayer subsidies in order to pay for it, they don't want it. So actually, in reality, they don't want renewables.
Nope. Nope.
When asked if they would support just a $1 monthly fee on their electricity bill to fight climate change, only 47% said that they would, while 43% are opposed. Even at this level, opposition is greater than support among working class voters. When the proposed fee is increased to $20 a month to save the planet, overall support plummets to 26% versus 60% opposed. At $40, it's 19% support to 69% support opposition. At $75 a month, it's 15% versus 72%. At $100 a month, it's 77% against, 11% for a fee to combat climate change. Now, I'm telling you right now, in California, they pay over $100 for increased costs for all energy for climate change.
Right.
The next point, voters expect an energy transition away from fossil fuels to lead to unexpected problems. About two-thirds think problems are likely. A follow-up question indicates that voters are most worried about the impact on prices and everyday goods and about the impact on reliability of the electrical grid. Voters are most positive about the impact of an energy transition on job opportunities in the energy sector and on air and water quality. Now, this is really interesting. Overall, the public is much more favorable on both solar and natural gas than wind. Solar energy tests the best among 5 energy sources that voters were asked to rank. 38% of voters ranked solar first. Natural gas did the second best by 26% of voters. Nuclear came in third at 15%, followed by wind 10%, and coal 6%.
Yep.
Coal is clearly the least preferred energy source, with 38% ranking it dead last among options, Wind and nuclear also have strong opposition, with respectively 19% and 29% ranking the technology as their least favorite option. In terms of energy they consume, cost and reliability are way, way, way more important. That's how they wrote it to voters than the possible effects on climate.
Yeah.
So, where solar, just in the point before, is viewed as the top of all 5 energy sources, nobody wishes to pay for it. Because they say solar's number one, but their most important thing is cost and reliability, and solar should be last on that list.
Yep.
This is where people don't connect 2 and 2 together. They don't connect the dots. In terms of energy they consume, given 4 choices, 37% of voters say the cost of electricity they use was the most important. 36% said the availability of power when they need it was most important. Then how the hell can solar energy rank first? Do people have no clue that in order to have solar energy, you need the sun and you don't have it at night?
I was just seeing reading some stuff just yesterday and day before yesterday about how if you're not putting it in the right zones, forget it. You're not going to produce the energy, which means many zones will not be able to produce solar energy. We already know this. And even then, the storage batteries are not up to par. You know how we know that? Because very few of us are running out and getting in line to buy them. Without the government subsidies for these, all the way from the local level to the federal level, this wouldn't be a market-driven product. It just simply wouldn't be. In fact, you probably wouldn't be able to get it because it wouldn't be affordable. Just like renewables on every level. Not affordable unless you throw government money at it, which means it's not affordable.
So what Republicans have to do is go to the, as we said yesterday, the biggest problem in this country is ignorance / stupidity. And yesterday, Trump said the biggest problem we have in this country is stupidity.
Yep.
And we say ignorance, but willful ignorance, and the push not, the effort, the maximum effort not to know the truth that you get from Democrats, that's where the stupidity comes in.
Right.
When you're willfully ignorant and don't wish to know the truth, when you don't want to do the hard work, that's stupidity.
Yep.
And so that's what you've got to pound. Because, Eric, how can that be? How can solar be the most popular, yet cost and reliability is the most?
It isn't the most popular. I mean, it's skewed. This is why I can't trust anything, any information that's out there.
Oh, so you're saying the polls are wrong?
Of course.
That Americans actually don't.
Well, no, they keep saying, here's the thing. You know what they want? I really believe that the reason the polls are skewed now is because people want to believe, they wish that they could get free energy from the sun, mainly because of inflation, mainly because they're not able to make their bills now. And so they tell a pollster, oh, yeah. No, I don't believe it for a second. It's not the most popular. Tell me what's being used. Well, that's the most popular.
It can't
tell me the number one source of energy. That's the most popular. It's not like solar is impossible to set up now. You can do it. If it was the most popular, we'd know that because the industry would be going gangbusters.
Well, that's the problem when they say solar energy tests the best among 5 energy sources voters were asked to rank, but then those same voters, they say by far dominant, you're talking 75% of voters say cost and reliability is the most important thing in an energy source. So how could solar test first?
Right. because people don't know. They want free. Well, just get it from the sun. That's how you get this crap.
Well, that's like saying,
if it were the
why
most,
can't fossil fuel be free? We just get it from the earth.
But that's what people think. They're delusional. They think solar is free. You know how we know that they actually, in earnest, know that it's not? Because they're not using it. Because it's not the number one source. Think about that. Empowering homes and buildings. If it were the number one source, it would be the most popular. Where am I wrong?
Well,
saying it to a pollster and actually putting it into
I'll tell you where you're
practice.
Wrong. You're assuming that the public connects the dots.
Well, they would if it were actually free.
Well, they are connecting the dots because they're not buying it.
That's what I mean. Yeah. We would know this if they were actually using it, if it were close to free, just buy the equipment and then everything else. No. The problem is the maintenance, having to replace it, all of it is more expensive, and we're not there yet. Not going to happen.
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by Howes Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Part of a recent announcement of USDA efforts to promote fair and competitive markets for ag producers while lowering prices for consumers, an interim report studying competitive conditions in the meat retail industry. USDA Senior Advisor Andy Green says 1,600 public comments combined with interviews with industry stakeholders resulted in study findings, including
the market has gotten much more concentrated. It's harder to break in for new, smaller, local or regional processors, producers, others. We also found a range of hidden fees and pricing practices that give us a lot of concern. That might be raising costs on consumers or making it hard for new entrants to come into the market.
Green adds USDA will soon look at potential regulatory approaches to assure fair and competitive markets.
And that incumbents can compete fairly and the new entrants have a real fair shot.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You saw second last on in that energy survey that was done that Roy Teixeira from the Liberal Patriot had was nuclear. People really don't want nuclear.
Yeah,
and that's what's going to be needed.
Well,
if you're going to use renewables, you're going to have a lot more nuclear.
This is the delusional state we live in. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. No, but this is how you get to a point of us not going after oil and natural gas, because people don't think about how it works. Look, they're not running out. The most popular is solar. Give me a break. You'll know it's the most popular when it's the number one source of energy for a home.
But it's what I want to be popular.
Exactly. The LA Times wrote about this, and they call it wish recycling. And what they said is that people were actually throwing, like pizza boxes, you can't recycle those. You know why? Because they have grease on them. They immediately go into the recycling facilities everywhere, including California, throw them in the trash because they don't have time to cut the little grease spot out. They're not going to recycle that. It's not worth the effort. But people say to themselves, yeah, but it's just one. I wish. This is how people behave.
Wish recycling.
Wish recycling. LA Times, not a conservative publication.
from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen to our show after it's done. When and where you choose. Yep. Yes. Thank you so much. All right, some of the audio cuts of the day. This MSNBC, James Carville on where this election is going.
The only thing I feel is the election's coming November 5th. And I'm scared to death, and I'll get a time to, obviously.
You're not in a reflective mood.
Not in a particular reflective mood right now. I'm very, very concerned and very
What does
scared.
Harris need to do with the month left?
All right, 7 months left. Let's start. We got 26 days.
Yep.
Today is gone. You're going to lose 4 to the hurricane. Just subtract that. We're going to get blank. You're not going to be able to get much out for the next 4 days. So, and everything kind of shuts down to Saturday before the election. So you're really probably under 20 days that you have to really get a message out. They need to be sharp. They need to be aggressive. They need to stop answering questions and start asking questions. They're doing all this and sitting down with 60 Minutes and sitting down with Colbert and sitting down with... No matter what, if I come on your show, you're going to ask me the question.
That's true.
If I have a press conference, I get to ask the question.
You'd like to see her do more press conferences?
I'd like her to put more things in play. Like
where she's out driving it.
Out saying, what is J.D. Vance talking about that Trump saved Obamacare, tried to just destroy at every point? I would put President Obama out to make that. He's only got a 92% approval with Democrats. He only is the author, the father of 23 million people having insurance. I would have President Clinton going on these local TV stations talking about how tariffs are going to destroy the economy of Wisconsin or Michigan or anywhere else because they have never worked. But we're just letting that go. And I think she and the whole campaign needs to be much more aggressive and much less passive than they are.
So what he's saying is what the Democrats need to do is send other people out to campaign for her.
He really wasn't promoting. If you listen to the brunt of what he was saying, send the rock stars out. She's not a rock star.
Yeah.
Send, Obama, because he's 92% approval rating, the author of Affordable Care Act. Clinton to talk about tariffs?
I know it.
Which I would throw in, well, yeah, but a lot of Democrats are on board with tariffs, including people like Bernie.
Yeah.
Bernie back in 2016
and
was
Biden.
talking about it. And Biden.
And Biden. I mean, it's...
So there's the, again, I think what we see here with Carville is that there really isn't a play for her.
No. Well, when he said that the problem is that Harris needs to stop answering questions. When we played it the first time early in the show, we all burst out laughing.
We were laughing so hard.
Well, that's the only thing the media is asking is, why won't she answer questions?
Right.
And Carville's going, she's answered enough questions. No, she hasn't.
No.
She's given answers, but she hasn't answered them.
Right.
It's like we had said a long time ago with Karine Jean-Pierre when they said, well, that's not what I asked. Here's what I asked. Well, I answered your question. No, you gave an answer, but the answer was not an answer to my question. Well, it's the answer that I have.
Yeah.
And, that's what you're not getting that same from Karine Jean-Pierre. She's just going into word salad. She did it again last night in the Telemundo interview when I forgot what the question was, but she went right back into it. I was raised in a middle-class family, and someone said, why does J.D. Vance should do that? Middle-class family. I wish I could have been raised in a middle-class family.
Exactly.
I was in a very poor family, a family in poverty.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything to anybody.
He may have said that somewhere at a rally. It just didn't make the news. I think it would if he did say it though.
But they used that. Remember, that was a negative. Remember Walz? Here, this guy grew up in poverty, and he went to an Ivy League school.
Yeah.
As if it was an insult.
Well, I stand by my one theory. I think there's some reason to believe that this theory could be floatable, is that they didn't like the idea that a conservative was the product of an Ivy League school. He's a strong conservative, and they didn't like that
These
part.
schools aren't doing their job.
Yeah, what happened?
He doesn't hate Jews. Why doesn't he hate Jews? He went to an Ivy League school. What the hell's going on here?
How did he even graduate?
Right. Oh, he must have taken the Jew-hating course pass-fail and barely got through with the pass.
Yeah. He must have been in. He must have taken the schedule that it was non-indoctrination schedule. Where you actually go learn stuff, real things.
Do they have them there?
I don't know.
And this is another audio cut which shows you what a bad week it was. Yeah. And this is CNN interviewing Kamala Harris, is one of her advisors, Mitch Landrieu, and talking about, again, as everybody's been asking this week, because, again, you think about it, the softball stuff killed her. Going on The View.
Yeah.
It just killed her. Gobert just killed her.
Oh, it was horrible.
And can't answer the question why she's different from President Biden. So the answer started this week from her that, well, I'm not the same human being as Biden.
Oh, my God.
That's our differences.
Oh.
And
they're staying with it.
Her advisors, nobody said, look, we got to have a different answer. This isn't, they all just so,
they're
whatever.
Repeating it.
Let's just use it anyway.
They're repeating it.
This is now, again, this is from the party with the narrative of quiet quitting. So why not the campaign?
Why not?
But here we go. This is a campaign advisor now.
Vice President Harris has been asked repeatedly how she's different than President Biden, and some people think she's been tripped up by answering that. How do you think she is different than President Biden?
Well, first of all, whatever the differences is between them, it's not nearly as vast as the difference between her and Donald Trump. She's obviously a woman. She is a woman of color, and she is of a new generation. So she is not Joe Biden, as much as they want to try to make her Joe Biden. But she was and is part of the Biden administration.
Vice President
What?
Just go with it. Are they doing that to make her look better?
That we all hold the same opinion?
If we're saying it too, she won't look. She won't stand out as much? I don't know. I'm throwing anything out there because I've never seen anything like this.
And then, as we know, Walz is doing his he's doing his football. I'm not kidding you. We're not making this up.
His man tour.
He's doing his man tour. They're back to now he's a testosterone. Remember, just so you know the evolution.
Yeah.
When he first came out, when he was first appointed as the vice presidential nominee, just like the presidential nominee, but it's okay to be appointed vice president. I will say that.
It actually is part of the process.
Right, it actually is.
It is actually how it works.
They actually did follow it there. But they had him out in camouflage and the rifle and the hunting hat, and you had the surrogates on MSNBC and CNN saying Republicans don't know what to do with a Democrat man who is a testosterone, masculine man. They don't know what to do. A month later, it was, well, he's not he's a different kind of masculinity. He's, he's not the same testosterone kind of masculinity. He's showing that there's other ways to be a male. Now, the interesting thing is, nobody is making any type of accusation from the other side about the masculinity of Tim Walz.
By the way, what's the over-under on whether or not he knows how to do a cartwheel? I'm putting $100 down that he does.
Oh, I thought that came from something.
No,
I thought there was like a punch.
Me.
I was waiting for the punchline to that. Oh, okay.
No, that's the punchline.
And
the serious point.
It is a punchline, but the fact is nobody was questioning it. Nobody was saying Republicans. Trump wasn't going, he's not a man like I am.
Yeah.
This is the identity politics that the left is obsessed with. All right, we'll give the Republicans a Democrat who is a hunter and a guy who was in football, and that'll show them they won't know how to handle that. Well, sure they will, because it's not. None of that's about the issues. That's all about your obsession with your Neanderthal narrative of identity politics, of judging people by certain stereotypes, which we don't.
Right.
That's not how we think.
Nope.
And so this is and as Political called it, he's now on his football pheasant hunting tour to talk football and pheasant hunting. I'm not kidding you. We're not making this up. This is where the campaign is now. Well, he went on. He was on with Michael Strahan from ABC News, a former football player, former Giant, right? Yeah, former New York Giant. And they actually got into something besides football and pheasant hunting. Okay. They got into something less masculine, the Electoral College. And this is just great because he can't answer the question either. Now, he came out against the Electoral College. Was it last week or this week or last week?
I thought it was this week.
Right. Well, she doesn't agree with that. She doesn't. By the way, I do think she wants to get rid of the Electoral College.
Yeah.
But she said she doesn't. So,
I think after November 5th, she'll really want to.
Yeah. So here's a question that comes up. Here we go.
He said on Tuesday, he said, I think all of us know the Electoral College needs to go. But the campaign came out later that night, and they said that's not their stance.
Yeah. Well, it's not the campaign's position. And the point I'm trying to make is that there's folks that feel every vote must count in every state. Mm-hmm. And I think some of folks feel that's not the case. Our campaign does that. And the point I'm saying is I'm in 5 states in 2 days. We're out there making the case that the campaign's position is clear, that that's not their position. Their position and my position is to make sure that everybody understands their vote, no matter what state they're in, matters.
So that's something that you and Vice President Harris disagree on?
I have spoken about it in the past, that she's been very clear on this, and the campaign, and my position is the campaign's position.
What? Which is what?
He just said the opposite position of those who want the Electoral College is that every vote doesn't count, but the campaign's position, which is for the Electoral College, and his position, which is not for the Electoral College, is about every vote counting. None of it makes sense.
No, my follow-up, I was almost going to blurt out if I were the interview sitting there after we just ended that audio. Right at that point, I would have asked, are we having another knucklehead moment right now? Is that what's happening? Because none of this makes sense.
I know, none of it made sense at all.
What do you stand for?
They can't tell you. And finally, you've got to play this quick. End the week with Scott Jennings on CNN. All right, here we go.
All right.
Have they even vetted Mitt Romney? I mean, this man tortures dogs. He specifically murders people with cancer. He tries to hire women into government positions. And worst of all, according to Joe Biden, it'd be quite a thing if the sitting Secretary of State tried to put the President of the United States in chains. Have they vetted Mitt Romney? This is a crazy idea. That's not what they have to do. They have to come up with a message that doesn't feel contrived, that doesn't feel like it's made up just for the moment. There's just no authenticity in any of this. This is throwing spaghetti at the wall because they've neglected men, all this time. And this is a political party that thinks gender is just a state of mind. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, my God, we have trouble with moderate biological males. I mean, who is surprised about this? The story tonight is they're struggling with men. Obama's insulting men. And they're out saying, well, let's fix it by sending Tim Walz out and hiring Mitt Romney. It's crazy to me.
I'm sorry. This is not a campaign strategy to name Mitt Romney the Secretary of State.
Are you agreeing?
I don't
This is a suggestion in a report.
Exactly. I don't think we should force any candidate to name who their cabinet is prior to even winning. I think they should be out there talking to voters.
Yeah, but the press isn't forcing it.
No.
The campaign volunteered. We're different. We're different because we're going to put a Republican on the cabinet. This is how I'm different than Biden.
Exactly.
She promoted it. The opposition didn't bring it up. The media didn't bring it up. The campaign brought it up.
Right.
Jeez. 866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara along with Eric Harley.
Well, it's been real, man. Okay, you have to go back and listen to the beginning of the podcast when
do.
it comes out here in a bit.
We're on vacation.
No, we're on vacation next week. Dan Mandis filling in. Marconi Award-winning Dan Mandis.
He should share
The
that
same
with
one.
me. He should share that with me because I've never received one radio award, and equity demands it.
That's right. I think the whole equity thing has an asterisk, and below it says, except for Eric and Gary. Does not apply to Eric and Gary. Dan earned it, and he's going to be here.
Yeah, he has. Great.
And our audience loves Dan. He's going to be here
Congrats,
all next
Dan.
week. Then we're back, and we will be essentially a little over 2 weeks away from the election.
Yeah.
With early voting in full swing, and I can't imagine the craziness that's going to happen over the next week, but we'll get caught up on that. So we'll see you in just over a week from Monday.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.